Yes, in our yesterday's class, we went with an introduction to globalization and what is actually globalization, and we also looked into the drivers. What is really maybe making companies or countries to go with the concept of globalization. We have looked all these, and also asked you to prepare about the advantages and disadvantages of globalization. I hope you have done that. See, the major advantage, to summarize in a nutshell, it would be to have a maybe an extended market. That is one thing which companies can expect to, through the process called globalization. And it also can be that they are expecting to bring down the cost of operations, or cost of manufacturing, or cost of rendering service. That can be another advantage of globalization. Or it is the companies, they are looking for different markets to collaborate with to go for their business. So when we look into the methods of entry into foreign market, we will also get to know what are the advantages which the company expect when they go for a globalization. And the demerit as such, direct or indirect, we can have n number of no limitation when we discuss a particular concept. So that is applicable here also in this case. Sometimes, because in India at times we faced a problem where the government policy was not so tight enough to restrict the dumping, as we call that in international finance. We quote the term as dumping of their unwanted things into a nation. So that was happening with respect to India, especially in the cheap products, flooding of cheap products from different markets like China and other developed nations. Okay, so that was one problem where we were in demand. The reason for that was these products were available at a lesser cost. And there is another one of the no, maybe as you say, no, the industry where much of the northern part of India and all, many of the people from the lower strata, they have their living by going with processing of or the waste, electronic waste. They were engaged with the processing of scraps that's been brought in the form of electronic waste. It's actually a dangerous industry. It can affect the life as well as the health of people who are engaged in such business. And in India, what was happening is many of the developed nations, they were getting rid of their second-hand or as we say, the used electronic equipments by dumping it into our country. Because in our country there was huge demand. Many of the people, they had their living by taking the small parts which were there inside this electronic equipments that was dumped into our country. But at the same time, that industry, this particular industry which was dealing with disposal of this electronic waste, had a lot of negative impact to people of our country. So government took stringent measures to avoid this so-called dumping. But initially we had a problem. So as such, as we grow, the problem of globalization will be there because it is a new concept, new idea where we are evolving. But when we look into or we make a comparative evaluation of the pros and cons, definitely higher weightage will go to the advantages we receive from globalization. So that's why even in any political or any kind of diversity, people recommend for going for globalization. Majority go for having globalization in the country. So maybe you have note down the points that were connected with advantages and disadvantages. I want you to prepare on that because that is something which you get to know as we proceed with our discussion in international business, right? Okay. The topic for our today's discussion is the methods of entry into a foreign market. We have looked upon why or the reason for a company to go for international market or to enter into a foreign market. Now, today we would be looking at what are the different methods that can be uh, taken up or dependent for entering into a market. Let's look at most of it. You know it. I'm just summarizing it to bring under one heading called entry into a foreign market through different channels. Okay. The first one, the most common one, maybe from the beginning we had was one category where we used to export our surplus as well as those products and services which are having high demand in the foreign land, like the jewelry, the gems, the spices, leather, then as we say, no, tea, cotton, all these are many of the products which are being exported by our country, looking into the demand coming up from the market. Of course, we have seafood export also, but when we look into the volume, we maybe, as we can say that the highest goes for gems, jewelry, the spices, the leather products, all these, right? Now we can see that agriculture production, the farm produce is also being exported because of the demand coming up from different foreign markets. So in a way that can be quoted as a route for entering into the foreign market without a lengthy settlement process. You don't have, like, you do not have to go with the process of no, having an office over there, or you do not have to go with the process of appointing staffs over there and here. Of course, you will be having human resource who would be managing, but that will not be so extensive as we look into the other forms of internationalization. Right, so that is why I have brought that as the first one. Export, the very basic kind of entering into a foreign market. And India, as you can see, even though we do not have an export surplus, export surplus is something that will help us to gain balance of payment. That condition is not so favorable for our country, but in the coming future, maybe, because the government is encouraging production in different areas, and that can result in surplus, and this surplus definitely will be going to different markets, no, as technology and other forms of transportation get its advancements. So that maybe for some of the rural areas, what they find is the lack of warehousing facilities, the lack of transportation facilities. All these are restricting them to enter into an international market. But by the advancement of technology, by the advancement of other facilities, these category of people they may also be able to enter into as we call as exports. So that is one part which is very much important, because if we have a surplus, and if that the demand for it is not so high in the country, then this production as a whole, no, people can think of taking it to another market. That can avoid wastage also. That is also another important factor where we can look into why export our products or services. Now, another important area is exporting of our service industry, which has been basically with respect to software, IT development, because when a foreign land they look up, the cost of manufacturing, the cost of labor is much cheaper here. So accordingly, the provision of service also would be little cheaper when we look into their homeland or maybe with other nation. So India is taking benefit out of it, and we are exporting a lot of services, lot of our services to different foreign land. Right. Now, the second part, that about the export of goods and services. The second part is international licensing. I have put a recent example because you might be updating with what is happening to vaccination, the COVID-19 vaccine, the manufacture. Recently, it has come into the news that Serum Institute of India, they have been given, earlier they were into Covishield, now they have been given permission to go with the manufacture of Sputnik 5 of Russia. This is from Moscow, Russia. So that is actually the product is available in their nation, Russia. It is actually being patent. Now the companies are just limiting the patent rights and all, because it is a common cause where all around the world people are suffering because of COVID-19. So those things will happen at a later stage. But now they have come up with the initial manufacturing process, and once it got the acceptance of medical association across the globe, what they have done is they have given licensing for this particular SII of our country to manufacture it for the purpose of fighting against this pandemic, for the purpose of vaccination of people in India. So that's a good example of international licensing. In the sense, this particular company is given license by an international company who are the real founder who came up with this idea. The SIA is an Indian company, and they're given with license to go with the production of this vaccine for the benefit of the people of the country. So that is an example of international licensing. So the company, as so-called company from Moscow, Russia, they have come with the process of international market, entering into an international market by having an agreement with SII of our country. So that's an example of international licensing. There are n number of examples that happens, especially in the pharmaceutical sector. And of course, you have many such kind of events happening in the steel, automobile, all these industries, they go with this. The benefit is we are getting the benefit of the going with the production of such items being here in India itself. So that can bring new technologies, new facilities, new services, or as we say in this case, new medical facility to our country. So that's actually international licensing. Coming with contract manufacturing, I have put the example of Nike. The reason here is this sports chain, they are of huge demand across the globe. And this particular company, the product of this company is in such a nature that has to be adapted to the environment of that particular country, the external environment, maybe the type of games and sports, the quality of the stadium and other sport facilities, because all these needs to be considered while you're going with the manufacture of a sports shoe for our country. So when we are talking about this Nike brand, they have gone into contract with many companies within our country, especially in northern part of our India, to manufacture the sports items for them in their name. But of course, they will be specifically mentioning what are the conditions, and they will have a quality check. They will ensure that the brand name is not affected by some kind of deterioration in the quality. All these things are being ensured by the company, but there is a contract between many of the Indian companies to go with the manufacture of this particular sports, the different products that is coming up from Nike. So that is an example of contract manufacturing. They enter into contract with different international companies to go with the production of their item in their name itself, because Nike is a brand that is well accepted in international market, in India also. So that's why the company has come up with such an agreement that they go with the production of the company's product, keeping the framework of the quality standards being specified by this particular group. So that's an example of contract manufacturing. Now, contract marketing, I have put the example of Walmart or Tesco, or there are many chains, retail chains, who help in the marketing of different products being floated by different companies. In fact, even a small supermarket here in our locality has an agreement to go with the marketing of by selling. In fact, that is selling. But sometimes they also go with, in order to increase their sales, they also go with marketing certain products which been identified as the key products in the store. They will go with the marketing. They will advertise, okay, this particular product is available in our store. This brand is available in our store at this particular price. It's available here at a rate of this much, whereas the retail price is maybe 10 or 15% higher. So likewise, they go with advertising. So contract manufacturing, in simple terms, it's an agreement with an international company, international brand to market their products. Right, so that happens. Bigger chains like Walmart, Tesco, Tesla, all these go with marketing different products. So here the primary difference between contract manufacturing and contract marketing is manufacturing is for production, whereas contract marketing is for marketing the products of their companies, different brands being marketed. Now that will be done even by deciding upon the location of the product in the store, in the shelf of these products. See, sometimes if the marketing is very high, you can see that those products being placed at the center of this particular shop or supermarket. As you enter, it should capture the attention of the customer. So likewise, they will place or position the product within the store. So that's all about like contract marketing. Then management contract, basically what you have to understand is this can be for management assistance, technical assistance, or some kind of assistance for the operational aspect. Basically, suppose if you are new into a technology, or you might have learned that technology from a different country, from a different company, you've traveled there, you've learned that, and now you're trying to start or maybe to adapt it to our country. I'm just telling an example. So you are very new. It would be good that if you get some kind of technical assistance or some kind of startup assistance, not funding, some kind of knowledge sharing between the parent company or between the company from where you really learn this. So management contract is basically such type of agreement where one company or one organization agree to help maybe a group of institutions or group of organizations or group of companies or maybe individual companies to go up with setting up and to start the business or to maybe implement the plan, all that stages. So if you're bringing a new technology, if you're bringing a new concept, say I have put the example of software companies, they come up with a lot of revisions, technology revisions, as you say, maybe different versions of software, or presently what is there here is AI based applications. So maybe Indian industries are very new to such concept. They can seek the help of other international companies who have advanced in this particular area through management contracts. It will not be for, as you say, at free of cost. There would be some remuneration, maybe a lump sum or some kind of fee being charged by the foreign company for this help, for this service. Now, joint ventures, we have known a lot of joint ventures, but one of the successful India's joint venture is Hindustan Aeronauticals Limited, where we go into the designing, plane designing, and manufacture, all these areas. We have many scientists working on it, and it is a joint venture. So in a joint venture, what happens here is there is little more participation of two entities into a particular concept rather than management contract. In case of management contract, what happens here is after the knowledge sharing, after the mentoring, these companies will go back. The agreement is no more. But here in case of joint venture, it is a continuous participation to grow together. So that's what JVs expect when they come into an international market. They want to grow together by sharing the knowledge, by sharing their experience, by sharing the manufacturing process, human capital being shared. All these are the benefits of joint ventures. Now, collaboration, see, when you are specifically looking into one area. In case of joint venture, you're totally into such agreement with that international company for all of your activities, maybe broadly for most of it. But in case of collaboration, you would be looking into one or two aspects where you want collaboration. Say McD. McD wants to actually popularize their product and make it attractive for children. So they went with a collaboration with Hello Kitty, because Hello Kitty is a popular brand for children. And in India also, they've identified that, yes, there is scope for collaboration with toy making companies, because children love when they are being gifted with, along with the food, when they are gifted with a toy. So likewise, here you look into one aspect, maybe you want to make it attractive for your children customers coming up in the children category, or maybe you want to make it attractive for the travelers. You will come up with some kind of packing in collaboration with some other company to make it attractive. Likewise, and as I say, some of you might have gone for purchase of different jeans. You all are into the habit of wearing jeans. You might have gone for textile industry does that collaboration very well. That's why I'm quoting this example. You might have gone into the malls and all, and you have purchased some, maybe Pepe, or as we say, Wrangler, or some companies jeans. And sometimes they along with, they say that if you go with purchasing for more than $5,000, or maybe more than $10,000, you would be given with a bag, with a bag of Nike, or maybe with some other brand, right? Or Adidas. Adidas normally does that with textile brand. So that's attraction for the customers, especially the young generation who's going to buy that. That's actually, they've collaborated just to make their purchase, to give some more value to the customers with respect to their purchase. And in educational sectors, you can find a lot of such collaborations where you collaborate with many international organizations, like sometimes along with the conventional course, you can go with CMA or ACA, which is actually a collaboration with the foreign institutions to allow your students to obtain, along with the conventional degree, another foreign degree. So the scope for the degree can be increased. So this is all about collaboration. So it's you entering into a market such a way that it is beneficial for both the companies. The example where I said about Adidas, it's actually, they will tie up with only good brands. They don't go with a brand image, or they don't go with those brands that do not suit with their image. They will go with only top brands. And when they are doing that, there are two things happening. There is actually increased sale that is happening, because once they come to, more and more customers come to know about this particular product, this brand, and they're confident that once they know that this person might come back to Adidas brand, and they might purchase it. So that's another, and they are actually popularizing their brand, so-called brand among the young generation. So that's why that collaboration. So there is an intention for both the parties. And in case of the textile brand, maybe as I say, Wrangler, they have a plus point where they are trying to give more value to their customers by offering, along with the normal purchase, they are offering another option to gain. Sometimes they make it mandatory that you have to pay additional sum, maybe like very nominal amount of like 100 or 200 rupees to get that sum. So they are actually ensuring that there is participation. The customer is coming for purchase of that. Maybe the total cost of that bag can be more than 1,000 rupees, but the customer is being paid to is made to pay only 100 rupees, just a minimal contribution to ensure that there is a genuine interest to obtain the brand. So they get to know that. And yes, that's all about collaboration. Then foreign direct investment, many. In fact, during COVID-19 also, India is being considered as among the top 20 destination countries. India is one among them, even in this pandemic, because they find that the customer base here in our country, or they find that there is a bulging middle income group of population, which is good for the country. And many of the brands which serve goods for young generation, they find India to be attractive because in future India is going to be with majority of the population the younger age, right? So foreign direct investment is little more decided to be in the market for long run. Toyota, you can see that they are there, their presence is there in the market for maybe for years, and they have significant impact in the automobile sector. Basically, they are a Japanese brand. They have come into, and they have a very big market in India. And maybe the company will not think of going back from here unless otherwise there is some situation which is promoting the company to go into or concentrate in another location, or maybe that the Indian markets are saturated with a lot of brands likewise. But the foreign direct investment is when a company comes to, or when there is some kind of FDI flowing into a country, that is a definite indication that they would like to have long-term association with that particular country through collaborating with that sector, maybe automobile sector, telecommunication sector, or some of the manufacturing sectors. All these have a lot of FDIs coming into, into the market. And then international mergers and acquisitions, it will be very easy for you because now we talk about e-commerce. Some of the biggest collaboration is happening in the e-commerce sector. We can see that Walmart, even though they have not gone with full-fledged operations after Go acquisition of Flipkart, Walmart has acquired Flipkart. Basically, they want to compete in the e-commerce market, and they know that the competitor is Amazon. And Flipkart was a brand, Indian brand, which is having considerable market share in the country. And Walmart actually wants to enter into Indian market and make significant progress. So that's why they acquired Flipkart, and in a way they are trying to compete against another popular brand, Amazon, in Indian market. So that is the benefit expected by this particular company by going for acquisition of Flipkart is they want to make significant presence in Indian market. Right? So the company thought, yes, the marketing base, the foundation, customer base, everything is there with this particular company, Flipkart. And it will be easy for them to penetrate and enter into Indian market. That's why they went with. But even though the company has declared that their actual the business in India happen only next year. They are planning it for next year. That's why we have not heard a lot about this acquisition after that. But this is the basic intention with which the company went for acquisition. So today we were looking into the different methods that a company or a country can depend upon to go into an international market. In fact, in many cases, we say that a company is going into an international market, but literally if a company has to go for it, they have to go get the permission with the respective regulatory of their particular, that is their parent nation. So in a way, broadly, it is trade relationship happening between two countries. If a particular country's policy, foreign exchange policy, or foreign policy is restricting the trade contract with any of the other country, automatically all these methods will not be in practice for any company coming up from that country. So there should be a trade relationship. There should be an established relationship between the governing body of both the countries. Then only the companies, maybe big or small, can try to enter into another international market through any of these channels or routes. Right? So in a nutshell, we talked about export, which is most common and the simplest way to enter into. It actually offers an extended market for your products. Then we talked about international licensing, where one company, an international company, is giving permission in the form of license for manufacturing a particular product, or maybe for entering category of service. Then contract manufacturing, of course. See, then another example for this international, since I was mentioning about service industry, I could say Cox and Kings. Cox and Kings, of course, now they have their real presence. At the same time, initially they have given some of the travel agencies within the country to market, to go with selling their services. So that is international licensing. Contract manufacturing, it's basically for manufacturing products. That's an agreed between an international brand and national brand. Contract marketing, it is with respect to marketing of products or services. Management contract, basically to share the technical know-how or knowledge sharing or team building, team development. All these can happen because of different management contract, because in financial management, a lot of such activities happen. Sometimes because developed nations are, they are well advanced in many of the technologies, say for example bitcoins or cryptocurrency transactions and all. We have a lot of trainings that has been conducted in collaboration with foreign companies to extend in this area. So that's actually training being done to for us to go in with the transactions that are related with cryptocurrency. Then joint ventures, of course, their JVs collaborate together for the manufacture or maybe for doing business within a country. And collaboration, I said, you might be wanting to ask what is the primary difference between JVs and collaboration. In case of collaboration, maybe you don't collaborate for every activity of your company. You will collaborate only with certain aspect. Right, as I said, the example of McD with Kitty, Hello Kitty, or as I say, the Wrangler brand with Adidas, or some brands like that. They're not collaborating with the manufacturing process. They're not collaborating with the selling process. In fact, they are just collaborating with popularizing the brand, maybe, and that is not a continuous thing. Maybe for seasonal, it's a collaboration that can happen during a festive season. So likewise, it's maybe for some time or maybe for some angle. I said the example of educational institutions, you collaborate with one area, you will specify what is your collaboration for, what all areas where you will intend to collaborate. Then FDI, it's actually a little more long run intention to go into an international market where you directly invest in a country or in a company. As I say, because if you are trying to invest in a country, in a company, that says that you find Indian markets to be promising. So that's why FDI is in a country. Maybe it is happening through partnership or through private companies. But the mode can be different. Basically, you find Indian market to be attractive enough to get enough return for your investments. And the last one, which we discussed, were international mergers and acquisitions, where companies either they combine together to operate in a market, or they acquire. They go with absorbing one to get the market. Right? So I said the example of Walmart and Flipkart. I think it happened in 2018, and the company is just pending its actual market operations because of the present condition. So these are the methods which we have discussed